you're a professional and you want to apply for a new job, or you want to apply for a promotion, but something's stopping you. What is it? Well, for many people, it's their communication skills, more specifically, their verbal communication skills. My name is Michael Williams, Pro90D founder and speech coach. And in today's message, in today's video, we're going to look at 3 steps that you can take immediately to level up your speech. That is, take your speech to that next level so that you can get the job that you deserve. You have the experience, you have the knowledge, you've put in the time, right? You've got all the characteristics and qualities. The only thing missing might be your ability to effectively and confidently communicate that in the interview, or to be able to handle the increased communication or verbal communication responsibilities. So how can you up-level your speech so that you can confidently go into that interview and project to them that you're the perfect person for that job? How can you up-level your speech so that you feel confident that you can handle any speaking situation that might come up while you are executing the duties of your new position? So I'm going to give you a high-level overview of 3 steps that you can use to up-level your verbal communication skills, your speech. And to help you remember this, I've created a little acronym called CPU. And so, once again, today I'll be giving you a high-level overview so that you can get a broad understanding of what we'll be looking at in each of the individual sessions. So, the C in the CPU 3-step process stands for create. Create your new speaking style. Speaking style, okay? Create your new speaking style. And I won't be writing all of these on the board, but I will write some. So it stands for create your new speaking style. Now, what does this mean? Why is it important? And how do you do it? Well, let's talk about what it means to create your new speaking style. And then we'll say, well, why is that even important? And then how you do it. Creating a new speaking style means that you're going to create new patterns of speaking, a new way of speaking, right? Makes sense. You're creating a new speaking style. Why is this important? Well, if you don't create a new speaking style, it simply means you'll be speaking the way that you currently speak. And if you continue to speak the way you currently speak, then you'll get the same outcomes, you'll get the same results. You'll continue to struggle in the way that you currently struggle. So then, how do we go about creating this new speaking style? Well, you'll need to change a few things, and we'll just briefly talk about them here. You're going to need to change your cadence, that is the rhythm, the speed in which you speak. You'll need to change the way that you intonate, or the way that you inflect your voice, the way that you articulate, right? The way that you enunciate, maybe the way that you pronounce, right? But the way that you enunciate your words. I like to use the word articulate, the way that you articulate. You might need to change your body language, your hand gestures, your facial expression, your head gestures, right? You may need to change the volume of your voice. So these are all proactive speaking skills. So how do you change your speaking style? How do you create a new speaking style? How do you replace your current speaking style with a new one? Well, one way that we use in Pro90D is called modeling, right? Some people spell it with 2 L's, some people spell it with 1. The second way is what we call proactive speaking skills. It's proactive speaking skills. So these are the 2 ways, the 2 primary ways that Pro90D uses to help you create a new speaking style. Because remember, if you use the same speaking style, if you don't change those elements that we talked about, which are all a part, they're just a part. I just gave you a sampling of what we call proactive speaking skills. These are the same skills that every person who speaks well uses. Anyone that you can name, anyone that you can think about who speaks well, who you like, wow, that's a great speaker, they're going to be using these skills to one degree or another, okay? So if you don't create this new speaking style that encompasses proactive speaking skills, then when you go to speak, especially in higher pressure speaking situations, like an interview or a presentation, a meeting, or whatever you consider high pressure, then your brain automatically says, oh, this is the way we usually speak. And so if we're going to speak the way that we usually speak, it's also going to trigger the same challenges that you've always had. Whatever those challenges are, those challenges can range from speaking too fast, feeling rushed, could even be stuttering or stammering, could be situational, or it could be something that's there all the time, right? It could be chronic. It could be mumbling. It could be the fact that maybe you have an accent and so people are not able to understand what you're saying, and that might just be because you're speaking too fast. It's not a matter of getting rid of your accent. Accents are beautiful. You can keep your accent, just enunciate, articulate more clearly, okay? And often that means slowing down. These are just a few things. So creating a new speaking style, modeling, and proactive speaking skills. Those are the two things that we'll look at. We'll go into a little bit more detail in the next video. What's the second way? And this is where the P comes in. Well, the second way is the second step is to practice, right? Is to practice your new speaking style. Now you have to practice it to create it, but you also have to practice it to perfect it. And when I say perfect, no one's going to be absolutely perfect, but we're talking about practicing to perfection, meaning getting really good at it, getting to the place where it's natural for you. So you create this new speaking style. We use modeling and proactive speaking skills to help you create a brand new speaking style, right? One where your brain recognizes this is new, this is smoother, this is clearer. I feel more confident when I speak like this. We're creating it. And then the next step is to practice this new speaking style. Now, how do you practice? Well, we have modeling, right? Modeling is one of the ways that you practice. Modeling is one of the ways that you create a new speaking style. But modeling is also one of the ways that you practice the new speaking style so that when you're speaking, it's differently. You feel better. You're speaking clearer. You're impacting. You're engaging people using modeling. And then the other way is free flow speaking practice. So we have a free flow speaking exercise that you will use to master your new speaking style. Okay. Now, why is this important? Well, it's important to practice so that it becomes automatic, so that your brain doesn't have to consciously think about how you're supposed to be speaking in this situation. Because if you have to consciously think about it, you're going to use more energy, you're going to feel more tired, and under pressure, you may not even be able to think about how you're supposed to be speaking. Because what most people do is they think about the situation, they think about who's there, what's going on, they feel judged, or they're thinking about what they want to say, which are all very natural things. But in Pro 90D, we show you how to transition from creating to practicing and to the next one, the next step that we're going to talk about in just a minute. But it's important to practice it so that it becomes automatic, so that when you step into that interview, or you are facilitating a meeting, or you're having an important conversation, or making a phone call, or you're on a Zoom call, or whatever, you can naturally and automatically and easily say the things that you want to say very smoothly, clearly, and confidently. Okay? So what's the next thing? What's the next step that we're talking about? Well, the next step is going to be to use, right? You're going to use your new speaking style. I'm just going to abbreviate there, right? You're going to use your new speaking style. This is a step that some people skip. So they practice, they create it, they practice it in private, right? But then they don't really go out and use it in real life. And when they don't use it in real life, then what happens is when they need to use it, it falls apart. They're not able to do it, right? So you have to desensitize yourself to these different speaking situations using your new speaking style. You actually have to get out and use it because your brain says, okay, we're in a meeting or we're in an interview or we're talking to someone in authority. You've got to know how to calm yourself down, how to talk yourself down, how to stay focused on how you want to say what you want to say. Not just what you want to say, but how you want to say it. You need to be able to execute that, to talk to yourself, to implement that in the moment, right? You can practice it, you can think about it, but you have to be able to actually do it in the moment. So you actually have to get out and use your new speaking style. So how do you use it? When do you use it? And how often? You use it by taking advantage of, as well as creating as many different types of speaking situations as possible, especially higher pressure ones. And then you have to get out there and you have to use it. You have to tell yourself, okay, how would my model speak right now? Or let me relax. Let me breathe more. Let me breathe a bit deeper. Let me slow down and take my time. These are just examples. These are just examples of what one might tell themselves, him or herself, in the moment. So these are the things that you'll need to do in the moment. And you can only do that if you are using your new speaking style in real life speaking situations. Once again, we'll run through this again and go a little bit more in detail. But I've given you a pretty good overview of the 3 steps that you can use, that you should use because they work, if you want to up-level your speech. There's really no other way to do it. Now, you can read books and you can watch videos, but if you've been struggling with your speech in any way, again, it could be fast speaking, it could be situational stuttering, it could be severe stuttering, or not stuttering at all. It just could be when you get in interviews or you have to talk before a certain number of people, or you're speaking with people in authority, all of a sudden your verbal communication skills just start to break down. And you know that that's holding you back from getting the jobs that you deserve. And so one of the things that you know that you have to do is up-level your speech, and sometimes watching videos and just taking courses are not enough. You actually have to go further. Why? Because these are patterns and these are habits. And in order to change your speaking pattern as well as your thinking pattern. Now, while we won't go into that in these videos, Pro 90D helps you address your speaking style, your mindset, and your speaking identity. We cover all of those things because they all go together. We're just going to really cover your speaking style. So what we're saying is that in order to do that, you are probably going to need something a little more intense, right? Intensive, a little more holistic, a little more systematic, a little more scientific to help you actually change the way that you speak. So if you've been taking courses and you've got some great tips and it's helped you, right? Some people have taken some of my courses. I've got literally tens of thousands of people that have taken my courses now. If you've taken courses and it's helped you a bit, great, but you're still not getting all the results you need, then you might want to consider working with someone one-on-one. Because what that person can do is hold you accountable to do everything that you need to do. Can't make you, but they can help you stay accountable. They can give you professional feedback and evaluation so that you're not wasting time trying to figure things out on your own. They'll say, this is what you need to work on. And then as you graduate, they'll say, okay, now let's work on this. And you may say, well, I thought I was doing that. Well, no, actually you were doing this, but we need to go further. We need to push it, because a lot of times I see where people think they're doing something, but they're not. Or they think they're doing something to a certain level, but they're not. And so you need that external viewpoint, that external feedback, that guide to help you, to give you that feedback that you can't see. It's in your blind spot, to help you see things you can't see. So we're going to continue with this series, and I'm just going to go just a little bit more into detail into each one of these areas. CPU, creating your new speaking style. Again, we talked about that. What's the P stand for? The P stands for practice your new speaking style. We'll just talk a little bit more about that. And then we'll talk about what? using your new speaking style. And we'll talk a little bit more about how you can do that and so forth. Okay, so I hope that this video has been helpful to you. Keep this in your mind. Again, if you're thinking about going to a job interview, or you have meetings that are coming up, presentations, you are looking to get a promotion, but you know that your speaking skills aren't quite there, then follow this series. And as you're following the series, you may want to take action. And the action can be, you can start with our self-study course, but if you want to accelerate the process, then you're going to want to work with us one-on-one. And you can find a link in or around this video to help you do that. Once again, my name is Michael Williams. Thank you so much for watching this video, and please check your inbox and tune in for the rest of these sessions.